The Ohio women's basketball team continues to weather the storm as they win their 11th straight, but Ohio Bobcats hockey could not handle the desert heat.
That and many more coming up in this edition of Ohio Sports Zone. Welcome back to Ohio Sports Zone. I'm Scott McDonald alongside Alex Utano. This weekend was particularly tough for Ohio's swimming and diving team as they dropped their meet 185-112 against Buffalo. Utano, were there any bright spots in that loss?
Well, there were a few, as you see Laura Dawson do her part to really try and get their team on the board, just to no avail. She was part of the 200 medley relay team that finished second with a time of 145.19. She also finished second in the 200-meter freestyle with a 152.19 time as well. The 200 medley relays overall had some decent success. As I said, the A team getting second place. You also have the B team of Riley, Hodges, Dukes, and Clark finishing fourth with a time of 148.38, and the C team of Lemon, Johnson, Wake, and White finished sixth with a 152.62 time. You also have Anna Henderson finishing third in the 1,000-meter freestyle with a time of 10 minutes, 30.47 seconds. And then Hailey Bartlett, on the diving side, also did particularly well, finishing third in the 1-meter dive with a score of 258.83, as well as finishing first in the 3-meter dive with a 296.78. There's a lot to be proud of from this loss, even though they do drop to 2-4. There is some building blocks for this swimming and diving team to continue into their next match against Ball State.
Now moving to a team that had more success than the swimming and diving, Ohio's wrestling just won their past meet against Buffalo by a score of 31-7. Bobcats have only lost 2 matches during that dual invitational, and Phil Wellington continues his tear of the MAC as he won 12-4 against his opponent. It's looking like he's going to make another NCAA appearance in the tournament, and things are looking very, very good for Ohio wrestling.
Yeah, Ohio wrestling won 8 of the 10 decisions against Buffalo in that 31-7 win. That is their third straight win on the season. To start off, Shakur Laney beat Kyle Atkins in a 6-4 decision, and Cameron Kelly Brian Lantry with another big win early on, and it was pretty much just they got off to a hot start and they kept going from there. Like I said, 8 of the 10 decisions going Ohio's way. That is absolutely fantastic to see this wrestling team continue to succeed. And as you said, Phil Wellington with the only major decision in that 12-4 win over James Benjamin. You just love to see that success story coming from this Ohio wrestling team, and there's a lot more good to come if they can keep performing like this during this 3-game win streak.
Yeah, and another team for Ohio that's really performed well lately is the men's basketball team. They beat Toledo, a very good MAC team, 81-79 in their last game. Some highlights: Jerron Simmons put up 17 assists. That's an Ohio record. Well, he tied it with DJ Cooper, who previously held the record. And they beat, he had 12 points in the win, and he's now third in the NCAA with 7.8 assists per game. Kenny Kaminsky came in with 22 points in this game, and Antonio Campbell continues his great play with 15 points and 9 boards. Things are looking very good, and the Ohio men's basketball is really coming together right when they need to, and they're going to look like a very impressive team coming for the MAC tournament.
I mean, the 3 big scorers all stepped it up. Campbell, who's been averaging 15.6 a game, Jerron Simmons 14.6, and Kenny Kaminsky with 13.2 all showed up. As you said, Kenny Kaminsky with the 22 points to highlight the double-double by Jerron Simmons. And this is against a very evenly matched Toledo team. Toledo now 12-8 on the season, and they now share a 3-4 MAC record, just as Ohio has. And After losing 3 of their last 5 games, this is a big win for the Ohio Bobcats because this team is not out of the MAC title race by any stretch of the imagination. They're competing with the teams that they need to beat right now, and that chemistry under new coach Saul Phillips will continue to develop. This is a young team, and I think we can see some definite strides toward the end of the season if they can continue putting up performances like this. However, they did blow a 20-point halftime lead, so that's definitely going to be something that Phillips is going to have to look at with his gang.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at what the team can do. They put up 81 points, and they have some streaky shooters. But that's the problem with streaky shooters. Sometimes you're on, sometimes you're off. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can become consistent and maybe perform more, improve on their defense, because that's one of the glaring weaknesses from this team.
Well, to increase in the standings, the Bobcats are going to have to get another win this Friday against Kent State, 9 p.m. at the Convo. This game will be on ESPNU for those who can't make it. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we'll see how the Ohio hockey team did this past weekend in Arizona.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to Ohio Sports Zone. I'm Alex Utano, joined by Scott McDonald. And Scott, it was a rare, rough weekend for the Ohio Bobcats hockey team. This was one of their toughest weekends on their schedule simply because they were playing 3 games in the weekend as opposed to their usual 2. 23-5-1 Bobcats set to improve on their record. They're 7th right now in the ACHA standings, and they were going up against ACHA's 16th ranked Arizona, followed by a duel with the NCAA's new team, the Arizona State Sun Devils, and simply put, it just did not go according to plan. A 3-2 loss to Arizona, and then 2 blowout losses, 8-2 and 6-1 against Arizona State. It was a poor weekend. However, you have to take into account the Bobcats played an NCAA team, and they just tried their best. However, the talent was just too much for the Ohio Bobcats.
Yeah, so what do you see as one of the most glaring factors why they lost?
Well, they just didn't play their team game 1-2. This is an Arizona State Sun Devils team that was looking to rebound after some sloppy play. They have experience against NCAA schools, but they are going into that game with a 0-13-2 stretch in their past 15 games, which gave Bobcats fans a little bit of hope that a win could be a potential. However, they just shut down the Bobcats left and right, and Aaron Alkema had his sloppiest weekend of the season. He let up 14 goals in between the 2 games against Arizona State, and his previous high was January 8th and 9th against Lindenwood with a total of 6. However, those 14 goals shouldn't really be glaring or reflecting Aaron Alkema's play. It was just a good team they played, just straight up, plain and simple. They are a good team, and this should not let Aaron Alkema slow down at all.
So what do you see as how do they rebound? How are they going to react from this loss?
Well, they're just going to have to look forward, get back to playing their game, and feed off the home crowd as they play the University of Pittsburgh Panthers this upcoming weekend. First game is tomorrow at 7:30. They do have some good scorers on that Panthers team, such as Daniel Mertz, who leads the team with 30 points, and Ryan Rosado with 24. But after that, it begins to drop dramatically as you see Cole Schneider with 18 points on the season as well. So these are some guys the Bobcats are going to have to look to shut down. They're just going to have to play their usual rugged in their own zone, moving the puck and getting a lot of point shots in the offensive zone, just as they're used to at home. They're 16-2-1 at home this season, coming in against a team that is 3-6 on the road. So things are looking bright for the Bobcats. However, we've seen in weekends past, no weekend should be declared 2 automatic victories. The Bobcats are going to fight tooth and nail against this Pittsburgh team.
So you see them coming back and rebounding and potentially getting their momentum back for the remaining of the year?
Absolutely, because this loss isn't as demoralizing as people are making out to be. Yeah, they've lost against Sean Hogan and Alex Vasquez's former team in Arizona, a team that they should probably beat. And then, yeah, they did have 2 losses against Arizona State, but that's an NCAA school. And with the Arizona loss, you can't win them all. These fans can't expect this team to be perfect. They will have a couple hiccups on the year. This is only their second 3-game losing streak on the season. You have to remember that those games against Arizona State don't count against the record. So this team is focused on the ACHA schools. Right now they're 23-5-1 against them, 16-2-1 at home. The Ohio Bobcats really should just focus on the positives from this season and try to rebound from these 3 losses.
So you said, yeah, you're right. It's a very uncharacteristic weekend for Ohio hockey, who is usually very dominant. Now, what did you see that maybe you did not see from this weekend that you can see in the future?
Well, this weekend they've played a fast team in Arizona State. I remember reading an article including a quote from Michael Harris just complimenting the speed of this Arizona State team, and speed kills, and that's what Ohio has used against their ACHA opponents is their speed. You can see players like Liam Geither, Matt Hartman, Michael Harris use their speed to go and burn defenders to the outside, but this time they are on the other end. And so this should be taken as a learning experience for this team. They see now what type of talent they need to compete in the NCAA level, and while a jump to the NCAA is nowhere in sight for the near future, despite rumors about renovations or an entirely new ice rink, they should still take a lot from this weekend. It was a big learning experience, and there are a lot of positives to take out from this weekend.
Yeah, and I mean, we hope that they can rebound and come back from this loss, but you have to just, is this any cause for concern?
Definitely not. Like I said, this is just a hiccup. They played some good teams, and now they're going to get back to their usual ACHA schedule. Like I said, the 11-9-3 Pitt Panthers will be in town starting tomorrow, and if they want to rebound and push these 3 losses behind them, a win and a hot start to this game on Friday would be absolutely huge to get the team, get the bench all pumped up for this game. If they can get a quick start to this game 1 against the Pittsburgh Panthers, I think the Bobcats could run away with this weekend. But like I said earlier, no weekend is 2 automatic wins. They're going to have to fight tooth and nail against this Panthers team.
You mentioned a quick start. What are other keys to the game?
Well, they're going to have to play physical. They're really good at using their size in front of the net and along the boards to throw hits. They're going to have to clog the passing lanes and make it a nightmare in the crease for opposing players. They've done a great job of locking down those players in the slot. So if Aaron Alkema gives up a rebound, he can have time to rebound himself and to cover that puck.
And that is all for hockey. Coming up, we're going to have a special package with women's basketball coming right up.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I didn't see you there. Ever wonder what really happens in the world? Ever wonder what the media is keeping from you? Well, look no further than AVW's News Time for all your answers. Ohio University's most reliable source of unreliable news. All news, all the time, none of the facts. All made possible by AVW Productions. You could trust us. We're professionals.
To Ohio Sports, I'm Alex Utano, joined by Scott McDonald, and the Ohio Bobcats women's basketball team got a big win over Akron. Bobby Levine was there and has more on this story.
She traveled back to Athens to face off against the Akron Zips here Wednesday night, where Ohio University ended up winning 75-55. In the first half, Kelly Carlos led all scorers, going 4 for 5 from the field and 3 for 4 from behind the arc with 11 points. She ended up with 11 points and 9 rebounds to finish off the game. Jasmine Weatherspoon also had 7 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and a total of 6 blocks to cap the night for the Bobcats. Kiana Black had 15 points, 2 assists, and also had 3 turnovers. That was the story of the night for the Bobcats. As a total, they had 22. 7 of those turnovers were from Jasmine Weatherspoon. Imani Jenkins had 10 points, and Kiera Lampkins had 13 points. As a whole, the Bobcats held Akron to 7 points in the second quarter to get a 20-point lead heading into the second half and ended up winning by 20. The Bobcats shot 14 from 37, that's 37.8% behind the arc, and they also shot whopping 52.4% from the foul line. Definitely a factor the Bobcats need to improve on going into Saturday's game against Ball State, the #1 team in the MAC West.
Yeah, I thought defensively in the first half we were pretty good. I was really happy with that too. You know, it's hard to figure out where they're going to go with their next play, and I thought we did a really good job the first half of guarding and kind of disrupting what they were trying to do.
It's business as usual. We can just go in the game and think about what we have to do, stick to our principles, and complete the games.
I think we did pretty good. I mean, obviously there was a couple times that we didn't match up and we all got frustrated about that, but I think once we come together and talk about things, then we're really good, especially when we get stops against really good offensive players. So.
I mean, we play a really good team on Saturday, and if we don't play well, then we won't have any streak to talk about.
15-3 Ohio Bobcats, the #1 team in the MAC East, travels to the #1 team in the MAC West, Ball State, at 14-4, potential MAC championship matchup again. Reporting from the combo, this is Bobby Levine for Ohio Sports Zone.
And welcome back. We are joined alongside Bobby Levine. And Bobby, I mean, you saw the Bobcats just tearing apart. They are on a streak. Can anybody stop them?
In my opinion, the answer is no. But this weekend, Ohio travels to Muncie, Indiana to face off against Ball State. As you heard the last part there, they are the #1 team in the MAC West. They are currently 14-4 and 6-1 on a 5-game win streak. The Bobcats, earlier this month, faced off against Ball State here at home and demoralized them 73-48. If they can go on the road and beat them in Muncie, I don't see anyone stopping them in the last 10 games of the MAC regular season.
I mean, they're playing lights-out basketball right now, an 11-game win streak. Tell us, what does it mean to this team to have this 11-game win streak?
Well, it's kind of funny because in sorry about that. The post-game interviews afterwards, the girls were talking about it, how they just know because people were tweeting about it. They asked Bob Bolden about it afterwards, and he quoted, "Cool, I hope it's 12 after this weekend." So obviously that's the mission, is to win as many games as possible. But right now, all they're focused on is the next game ahead of them, is Ball State and Indiana.
And we are a little past the halfway mark of the season. Who do you see as the Ohio women's basketball team's MVP thus far?
Right now, the MVP has to be Kiana Black. She's absolutely terrorizing the MAC. She's averaging 17.1 points per game. That's almost 25% of the women's totals per game. They're averaging just over 71 points per game. She is on fire. She's averaging double digits every single time. About 4 games ago, she put up 39 points herself, and she was the only player in double figures for the Bobcats.
Well, right now there have been really 2 big players for the Bobcats who have led this team. Of the 19 games so far this season, Kiana Black, as you mentioned, has 11 times led the team in scoring. Kiera Lampkins has 4, so that's 15 of the 19 games right now. So clearly this team is working at all cylinders right now, but if there's anybody who could take some pressure off of Kiera Lampkins and Kiana Black, who would it be?
In my opinion, it's got to be Jasmine Weatherspoon, the big girl down low. Unfortunately, she leads the team in fouls per game. With 3.4 fouls per game, she's fouled out 3 times. She's got the height and the length the team needs. When she scores a lot, it takes the pressure off all the other girls. Obviously, you have your #1 point scorer in Kiana Black, but as you saw last night, 4 scores were over double digits, which helped out big time, and the ball movement was amazing. The factor the Bobcats need to work on is rebounding. They're getting out-rebounded by almost 5.4 rebounds a game, which is amazing. 40 rebounds per game usually is for the Bobcats, but they got to get the offensive rebounds, dish it back out, and hit the threes because they're averaging 9.7 made threes per game, which is +6 against the other teams.
All right, and thank you, Bobby. And we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to have a special guest on for talking about men's baseball.
Looking for these? You drive Buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Toucan Sam.
What's it take to get some hunky construction equipment up in here, huh?
I hope you're joking.
I think we need to follow the advice of Jesus and get down, girl. Go ahead, get down.
Please state your name and the role you're auditioning for.
Hi, my name is Christopher Walken.
What if it is Loch Ness Monster?
I mean, I got some shopping to do at Whole Foods, but I'll join in.
But to my captain.
I'm right then. I knew I was right.
Welcome back to Ohio Sports Zone. We have the baseball team starting to get things underway, and here's John Kosis.
The 2015 Ohio Bobcat team was predicted to finish dead last in the MAC East and 11th of 12 total teams in the MAC by the preseason coaches poll after their 11-40 finish to 2014. Despite this, the Bobcats rolled through the start of the season and raced their way into MAC tournament play with a final record of 36-21. Ohio would race into a second-round game against Western Michigan, which head coach Rob Smith said could have had a very different outcome.
I mean, even that Western Michigan game last year, which was an epic battle between two very motivated teams. If you really look at it, it was 1-1 up through the 11th inning, right? And there were so many different plays you look back at, so many big pitches that were made. Mitch is playing left, which basically would have ended the game had he not made it.
Ohio would win 4-1 after hitting 3 home runs in the 11th and would defeat Ball State 6-2 to win the MAC championship. Seniors such as Colorado Rockies draftee Logan Cozart and Ohio all-time hit leader Jake Madsen would end their careers with a regional loss to Wright State.
As a whole, I think there was just a lot of things with that senior class that I was really proud for them to be a part of it, to experience it, and ultimately, walk out of here with a good taste in their mouth as it relates to their baseball experience.
To follow up last year's play, Smith says the Bobcats need to focus on 2 things.
Well, I don't think it's this year. I think it's any year. I think it starts with your ability to pitch and your ability to defend. That's always going to be our focus.
When Ohio played at its best last season, the rotation was firing on all cylinders. This year, Smith has a lot of options to choose from for his rotation.
If I had to put it out there today, I think Jerry Salisbury is definitely in our rotation. I think Jake Rudnicki's got the potential, as he did last year, to be a consistent starter. Obviously, Connor's had more games under his belt as a starter than anybody else, so you got to believe that he's going to be there. And if we can use Jake Miller a lot like we use Logan Cozart as not just a closer but a stopper, I think that makes us a better pitching staff.
Ohio's first game will be against UNC Asheville February 19th, but Smith is most excited for a matchup against a mentor.
Non-conference-wise, I'm excited about a couple of them. Obviously, our opportunity to play Purdue. That's my former place of employment, and Coach Schreiber, who hired me and gave me my first opportunity in Division I baseball. Special guy. I owe him everything that I have here, opportunity-wise, and I'm excited to compete against him. It's going to be fun to get on the same field and do that.
For Ohio Sports Zone, I'm John Kosis.
Welcome back, and joining us now is John Kosis, the baseball expert legend himself. Now, John, these Bobcats went from 2014 11-40 to last season 36-21, from 7-20 in the MAC to 17-10. Quite the remarkable turnaround story as they improved vastly. What are they going to need to do to carry that improvement into 2016?
Well, first, a 25-game improvement is absolutely outstanding for any program, regardless of where you're at. If the Bobcats were 0-56 the year before, winning 25 games still would have been remarkable. I went into Coach Rob Smith's office, and I remember the first comment he made was, "Pardon the mess, I'm finally allowed to hang up posters because I think that my job's going to be around a couple of years from now." That's how bad the baseball team had been the first 3 years he was there. And last year, it was a big senior class. That's what really helped him out, and I'm just going to talk about 3 of them real quickly. You had Jake Madsen. He graduated. He had 50 RBIs last season. He hit .323, and he is the all-time Bobcats leader in hits. Let's talk about other people who have graduated from Ohio University. The name that pops out to you right away is Mike Schmidt. He's an MLB Hall of Famer. He had over 500 home runs for the Philadelphia Phillies. Jake Madsen is amongst the same level of talent as he is. And then you have Tyler Wells. Tyler Wells was drafted out of high school, and he ended up hitting .265 last year with 42 RBIs. He had been a perennially good player for this Bobcats team. And finally, Logan Cozart. He started off as a third baseman for the Bobcats his freshman year. He ended up being an All-American senior closer for the Bobcats last season. He had a sub 2.0 earned run average, and he had a 7-1 record, including a 4-inning save that he had earlier in the season. It was during the MAC tournament. He was the doorstopper for this Bobcats team. It's going to be tough to replace that level of talent for the Bobcats.
And that's a lot of talent to have to replace. Do you think that, one, do you think they can replace it? And two, if they do you see them having the same level of success as they did?
First, I don't think they're going to replace all the runs that they had. You have Manny DeJesus. He'll probably step it up big time this year because last year, as a transfer from Wabash College, that's a junior college, he ended up hitting about 300, and he did really well from the shortstop position. The young guy out of Puerto Rico has some serious talent. You had another first-year player. It was Tony Giannini. Giannini played for the Copperheads this summer, and he led the Copperheads in home runs. That is a wood bat league, and he was playing at Bob Wren Stadium. Now that the metal bats are coming back out, he's bound to show off more power. He only had 12 at-bats as a freshman. He was the bullpen catcher, but he ended up scoring 2 runs. That shows the offensive ability that he has. The big thing for this Bobcats team this season is going to be pitching, though. You have a lot of returning pitcher. Connor Sitz has more starts than any pitcher has had in the Rob Smith era. In addition to that, you have Jake Rowan and Jerry Salisbury. Both of them were on the injured reserve last year. They weren't able to play any games, but they were Friday and Saturday starters when they were healthy. They're both very talented, and particularly Jake Rowan has an excellent secondary pitch that gets a lot of swings and misses. Then you have Jake Rudnicki, followed by Jake Miller. Some very talented players on this pitching staff. If Ohio's going to be successful this year, it's going to be all about pitching.
Thank you so much, John, for joining us. That is all the time we have on Ohio Sports Zone. For Scott McDonald, I'm Alex Utano. You all have a fantastic evening.